Hello, I'm Dr. Bill Eckenweiler. My wife and I began the Struggling Reader some years back to help parents like yourself better understand the reading process and to be able to take control of your child's reading progress. In this brief chat, I'd like to talk for a few moments about phonics, why it is important, how it fits into your overall reading instruction, and how our materials might be of assistance to you. I'd like to begin by taking you back about 20 years and tell you about the work of the National Reading Panel. The National Reading Panel was a blue ribbon panel commissioned by Congress to gather all of the research that has been done on what it takes to best teach a person to read. Put another way, they were charged with the task of making sense of the many pieces of the reading puzzle, to sort through and establish the core elements of a strong reading program, the non-negotiables that simply have to be mastered for any aspiring reader to realize success. The process took 2 years of painstaking work, and they finally presented their findings to Congress. Since then, their findings have provided the benchmark, the gold standard for reading specialists and teachers across the country. And I might add, their findings provide the basis for virtually everything we offer here at the Struggling Reader. Now, we could talk at great length about their findings, but let me give you a quick 30-second summary, which will lead us back to our topic at hand, phonics. When the National Reading Panel made its report to Congress, 5 big key components of reading emerged as the bedrock for any effective reading program. These 5 areas, which I like to refer to as the Big 5, were found to be absolutely critical to the success of any aspiring reader. Those 5 components are vocabulary, fluency, phonics, phonemic awareness, and comprehension. Each one of these components deserves our close attention. But for now, let's focus our attention on phonics. Very briefly, phonics is the relationship between the sounds of speech and the letters that are used to represent those sounds. Sounds straightforward enough. The letter B makes the B sound. The letter F makes the F sound. Letters make sounds. Put them together and we make words. But wait, it's not as straightforward as we would like, which is what makes phonics such a challenge to learn and to teach. There are about 44 phonemes or sounds in the English language, but more than 500 ways to spell those 44 sounds. For example, we know that F makes the F sound, but so does PH, as in phone, and then there's GH, as in cough. Plus, we've borrowed many words from other languages, and they bring with them their own unique spellings that complicate the phonics picture. We typically begin our phonics instruction with children in kindergarten, and in a perfect world, we would like them to have essentially mastered it by the end of 3rd grade. That can be a tall order for some children. Phonics can be challenging, not only because there are so many ways we can use letters to represent sounds, but also because the rules that govern phonics are not terribly consistent. And so we try to teach a rule, but then we end up having to explain why the rule doesn't apply. For example, consider the silent E. On the surface, it seems that the silent E rule is pretty straightforward. Add an E to the end of hat and you get hate. That short A sound in hat becomes a long A in hate. It works with rip becoming ripe, taught becoming tote, and a host of other examples we could offer. The problem is that this rule is not always true. In fact, this silent E rule is true only about 63% of the time. Consider the words have, come, and love, which are only a few of the exceptions to the silent E rule. Another common phonics rule governs how we pronounce words that have 2 vowels right next to each other. For example, in a word like meat, we have two vowels right next to each other. Which sound do we say, the E or the A? And should we say the long sound of the vowel or the short sound? Well, our rule says that we always choose the first vowel. Many of us have probably asked our youngsters to recite, "When two vowels go walking, the first does the talking." And so in the case of the word meat, the first vowel is E, so we're going to pronounce it and not the A sound. We're also taught that the sound that first vowel makes is long, and so in this case, we pronounce the word meat with that long E sound. This rule works very nicely with words like soap, boat, and peach. Unfortunately, this rule, like the silent E rule, does not work as often as we would like. And so we have words like head, said, food, and soup. There are many other examples of phonics rules working only part of the time, and in most cases less frequently than you might think. It is no wonder that some children struggle in this area. They may grasp the big ideas, but struggle with the details and the exceptions. And so you might wonder, should we even bother teaching the rules if there are all these exceptions? In my opinion, the answer is yes. Over the years, phonics has fallen in and out of favor, but it endures as a key ingredient in any successful reading program. The importance of the systematic teaching of phonics was driven home to us again when the National Reading Panel included it as one of the Big Five, telling us that any fully successful reader will have mastered the world of phonics. Here at The Struggling Reader, we've developed materials that will help you better understand and teach your child in this critical area of reading instruction. It is important for you to understand the model we use with all of our materials. The idea is that you always test your child first to find out where those areas of strength and weakness might be. It does us little good to have some general sense that Johnny is weak in phonics without knowing more precisely what you need to work on. And so the first piece of our phonics material is actually a test that you administer to your child to determine where you need to focus your attention. As you can see by the table of contents, how to administer the test is explained in plain language along with how to understand the results that you get. The test covers all of the primary phonics rules or categories that any credible phonics program would address. And so you don't have to wonder about which areas of phonics are the most important. You will be equipped to test your child in the most essential areas of phonics. Armed with test results that direct you to particular areas of weakness, you can now focus your teaching on those areas. The companion to the test is a volume of instructional activities that target those areas addressed by the test. As I mentioned before, this material targets those areas of phonics that are considered to be the core of any phonics program. Rather than have some general sense that phonics might need some work and just starting on some phonics curriculum and hoping that somewhere along the way you will address the areas of weakness, this material helps you direct your teaching where it is most needed. And so if you find a weakness with, say, consonant blends or R-controlled vowels, you can turn to the activities that address those weaknesses. And finally, it's worth mentioning that all of the instructional activities are multisensory in design. There are no paper-pencil activities to be found, no repetitive worksheets. It has long been established that multisensory teaching is helpful to those that struggle with learning disabilities like dyslexia, but they have been found to be very effective with all students. Now let me take just a moment to show you a sample page from the Phonics Activities book. This activity is number 5 in the collection of activities designed to address skills related to consonant blends. In the left column of every activity is a list of materials you will need to do the activity. Much thought has been given to keep those materials simple and usually found very easily around the home. In this particular case, the activity calls for several paper bags, along with various items that could be readily bought at the store and thus found in most homes. Those items should contain a consonant blend. If you're scratching your head about what items would have a consonant blend, see pages 74 through 77 for a menu of consonant blends that could be used. At the bottom of that materials box are pictures that alert you to the fact that multiple senses are engaged when doing this activity. In this case, the student is asked to use kinesthetic, auditory, and visual modalities. And then finally, you will see a set of directions that are given in bullet form. They have been edited and revised numerous times at the suggestion of parents like yourself in order to make them clear, concise, and easy to follow. Every activity is presented in exactly the same format. I hope this brief talk has helped you better appreciate phonics and its vital importance to an overall program of reading instruction. We have designed our materials to empower parents to take control of their child's progress in reading. Everything we offer at the Struggling Reader is based on the idea that you test first to find out where you need to target your instruction. This is followed by instructional materials that address those areas of need without wasting unnecessary time on things that have already been mastered. And this is done through teaching materials that avoid repetitive worksheet type materials. Every instructional activity we offer avoids paper and pencil and is deliberately multisensory in its design. Of course, we can't possibly anticipate all of your questions in a presentation this brief, and so we invite you to be in contact with us if you would like more information. Our contact information can be found on our website. I look forward to hearing from you.